isn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing the limbs dropping off by the way they do. What's this fall down? Is that? Oh, it is. I thought it was cherry.
Give me their response to the condition of that tree. Would someone like to make a statement about that tree?
Sorry, Ted, could you just coming back in on your now?
Okay. Would someone like to make a remark about it?
It looks rough, Ted. Looks rough.
It looks rough. Okay, it does look rough.
Get the brain.
It does look rough.
Somebody's hacked it, have they?
No, there was no hacking.
It's just rolling.
It's just the branches need to be cut back.
Is it
falling anyway?
Is that Tina?
It needs hiding.
Is that Joe's wife?
Why?
Oh no, Joe's wife is very good. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, I'm sorry
What
for
has happened to that?
drawing attention to it. Right, basically the oak tree. The oak. This is obviously one of those trees that were not part of the rotation. They were usually on the rides or bridle paths or on the verge of the wood. They weren't managed. They would have been maintained as an ornament, for example. And this tree may appear to be dying. Hello, we're just talking about this lovely oak tree here. And if your son or daughter collects your son, very soon there'll be acorns from this tree. And if your son fills his pockets with acorns, this is the easiest tree to grow in Ireland. It's so easy to grow. Just look out for the acorns. But it's not diseased. That's what I call deadwood or stag horning or dieback. It's no indicator of dis-ease or disease. I don't see any stress there. It goes into a period like that, it'll do a little bit of limb dropping, a little bit of feeding into the mycorrhiza with its dead limbs, and come back again. Not to be mistaken with a dying tree. And if it is in its final, if it is in the foothills of middle age, shall we say, to be kind, if it is in the foothills of middle age, it can take a century in the foothills of middle age. Do you follow what I'm saying? If that was an elm, I'd be worried. I would cut the elm back to the last dead wood and burn the wood at once to preserve the rest of the elm. If it was a gnat, I would be looking at an organism that has seen its day. But there's a tree exactly across from that oak tree. See, across the river. I haven't noticed this before. Same age, and I would say that it could also be right, on a thorough investigation, you look for mushrooms, you look for certain toadstools, you look for honey fungus, bootlace fungus. They're the telltale, they're the little fatal indicators. I see no mushrooms there, but she is strangled with ivy. Lovely example of where ivy has got the grip of the tree. And it's hurting the tree. And the xylems, you see the ivy there? That needs a bit of management. Maybe about a third cut out. And there again, we would have to, it's a managed area. If you graft an apple tree, you make an apple tree from a graft, you've got to prune that tree. You've created an organism. When you manage a woodland, you've got to follow up your impacts. If you begin to manage a plant, you've got to maintain management. And in a coppice managed woodland, you can't leave it go to the dogs. So it's an awkward one. Europe wants native woodland scheme to prioritise biodiversity, and at the same time, you've got to intervene. Should we say intervene? I see nothing wrong with that tree. I wouldn't like anyone to come along and say dangerous, insurance, church in general, or PMPA. No, there's nothing wrong with that tree. Given a chance, it has every possibility of coming back like that. I've seen it in yew trees, and I've read a lot about yew trees. I went through a deep obsession with yew trees so long ago. I just love them. I just love them so much. As you know, chemotherapy is an extract from the yew tree. It's a very poisonous tree, but it's so poisonous. Cancer withdraws in the face of the chemotoxin. Yew trees can go into a mode of stopping growing for centuries. Do you know they say don't cut a tree down if you want to age it? You can actually measure by counting the centimetres. 1.5 centimetres a year at about 4 foot up. But it won't work with certain trees. The oldest tree I'm aware of is a yew tree in the Church of Ireland graveyard in Youghal, St Mary's Church, Youghal, a yew tree. Professor Delahunt in America, with a new machine that I didn't understand. It's a needle that you put into the tree, but it's got a camera on the eye of the needle, and it counts the rings. 2,300 years that yew is standing in Youghal. And of course Youghal means what? A yew wood. It's the last of the yew wood. And that tree is not huge. You can also have trees that are very, very large, like Sitka spruce. The ones in Glenstall Abbey, they're mega. Or the ones in the Macroom Castle domain, another great managed estate given by Lady Ardelon to the people of Macroom forever. Or Fota Island, given as a gift forever to the people of Cork, although squandered by UCC. Sold the next year for 1.4 million, sold the second year for 8, and now it's evaluated at 240 million. But in any event, trees don't necessarily show their size. You can have a big fat Sitka spruce of 50 years of age and an old oak, quite slender and not really, do you know what I'm saying? So even measuring the circumference may not be safe either.
No. Ted, you know the yew tree that you took cuttings off, or who was it? I have one of them. Where's that from originally? You know the one that's in my garden now, but came from?
Oh yeah, that's Emmett and Kathy took cuttings.
Emmett, yeah. Where was that? Where was that? Just for the record, where was that? Where did that originally come from? Do you remember?
The Famine Graveyard in Macroom. We took cuttings. Someone went years later and put in a cutting and it grew. But all yews, as I understand it, I'm not sure about this, all yew trees are said to come from the Florence Court yew. All Irish yews come from one tree. All copper beeches came from one tree. They're called polyploids. Every so often, nature throws up what's called a polyploid. It happens in badgers. It's peculiar to island communities. Because after a while, island communities begin to strangulate. So out of nowhere, a complete new DNA crops up from nowhere and begins a new opportunity. So you'd often have a white badger or a blue badger. They indicate that they're of the same DNA, they're the same colony, but they've turned up with a whole new feature. Do you know badgers? Do you like badgers? Do you like badgers, Leon? Do you like badgers and hares? Do you like deer? Do you like hedgehogs?
Yeah.
Do you like foxes?
Yeah.
Do you like stoats?
Yeah.
Do you like pine martens?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, will we head back to the car park for something to eat? No. That's more like it. Look, I think we'll go back to the car park, break our fast, and from 2 to 4 we'll do the upper walk. And at 4, remember, we're going up to Shillelagh Church. We must see the work of the Fitzwilliams.